Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as we continue here. Jalen Rose sit down with Ja Morant. Ja Morant has been suspended by the NBA 8 games. He's already served 6 or 7, I believe, by the time this is coming out. I believe it should be done. I believe he'll be back on Monday, possibly with the team there as their game comes up. But the NBA suspended him 8 games. He's already served 7 or 8. It's about to be up during this time, especially with the showing the gun in going live, showing the gun in Colorado, which really was a bad look for Ja Morant. And basically, um, Jalen Rose basically giving him this chance to basically talk about his transgressions and what happened and during that night. And he said it was a bad decision. And basically, this is damage control on his point, right? Like, he has to basically try to show that he's changing, right? And he talked about in the interview how he said all the allegations over the past couple of weeks about the incident at the mall, the incident with the kid last year. These incidents happened last year, and most likely these are going to get settled and pushed under the rug and ignored, right? But these allegations coming up, and then you're showing a gun on live and stuff like that, it's not a good look. And in the interview, he basically said, hey, those are lies, those allegations, or whatever the case may be. He basically playing damage control at this point. And how the gun wasn't his in Colorado. And he said that he's trying to play up an image and that he wasn't, that's not really who he is. He's basically on again, this is a media rollout. This is him trying to play damage control. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like Ja Morant should do that. You know, you have a lot to lose in the situation that he's like, I have a lot to lose and I have to think about who's around him in a circle and things of that nature. And I think that's what he should do. You know, I don't think people should be like, oh, he shouldn't have to do that or whatever the case may be. This is basically the media rollout. He has to kind of try to repair this, right? And the best thing for him is to get back on the basketball court. And that's basically what this was for, trying to alleviate that process and basically get his feet integrated back into the NBA life, dealing with the media, and especially Jalen Rose being that first point of contact who has had his own transgressions in the past, being caught in drug houses in college and stuff like that, and other situations where he talks about that, where Jalen Rose really tried to speak to Ja Morant saying, hey, yo, you got to change your ways. I was in those situations. You do not want to do that, especially with in this stage of life where you're the breadwinner in your family, where you have so much untapped potential and so much more NBA career to go ahead, multiple checks coming. You got to think about that when you're going into this situation. And basically, he said the meeting with Alva Silva went well and how they were discussing his plan to get back into the NBA and stuff like that. And it's just like everyone's trying to kill Ja Morant right now. And everyone's just like saying, hey, coming quickly to, and I understand it. I understand it from that standpoint, but it's like we can only wait and see what he does going forward in terms of his approach to basically righting his wrongs in terms of having the gun, having that image of being a thug. You know, you have the incidents with Indiana where his guys were in the car with a laser pointer pointing at Indiana staff. The incident in the mall with his mother, basically coming with his family, basically rolling in 9 deep. They were saying multiple guys to confront this mall officer, or whatever the case may be. Of course, the incident with the 17-year-old kid where they said he beat up a 17-year-old kid and stuff like that. So even if those things are transgressions or whatever the case, I believe they will be settled and we won't hear the light of day from it. But the only thing we can do is look at the path forward that Ja Morant takes. He doesn't get into more trouble. And he can kind of get back on the court. And I think that's the most important thing for him. I think that's the best place for him right now. Of course, the media is going to have a field day when he does actually come back. And hopefully they are able to get past that and he can continue to progress with the Grizzlies. But I think him basically addressing that, saying, hey, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. And it's like everyone's trying to kill him and say, yo, you're doing this stuff and being a thug and trying to be in the Crips and all this other stuff. And it's just like, yo, like, we got to give this guy a chance to redeem himself, right? Like, you can't just kill this guy for allegations and stuff like that. We actually have to see some type of progress here. And it's like, all we can do is wait and see. And I think people are sitting there where on the flip side of that, where people are saying he did nothing wrong in terms of the gun and stuff like that in the club and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's just a bad look. the aesthetic of it is not a bad. It's just not a bad look. Yes, of course, NBA players go to strip clubs. They go to entertainment places. They do things that we don't know about, kept under hush. But when he goes live and has a gun in a strip, like, what is the necessary point of that? It's just not a good look. And especially the NBA has tried to build up this image of getting away from that live gang culture, rap culture, all that stuff like that. And I think the NBA has done a good job. Like, yeah, you can have tattoos. Yeah, you can start wearing fashion again. Yeah, you can start doing this, and we can start talking about justice reform and stuff of that nature. That is something that's awesome for the NBA going forward. But all that stuff comes to a screeching halt when you're in a club and you have a gun in a strip club. That's just not a good look. It wasn't like it was recreational, like he was shooting in his backyard or going to a shooting range or anything like that. It just doesn't look good. That's the point of all that. Like, it just doesn't look good from that standpoint. And hopefully Ja Morant can put all that stuff behind him and move forward to on the basketball court, because the Grizzlies desperately need him, even though they're kind of up and down without him. Got a big win over the Warriors. But when you keep looking forward, it's like at some point you kind of got to put all that shit behind you and kind of just get it back on the court where the Grizzlies need you, where Ja Morant needs to really be, where he's flourishing, actually having a great season, all NBA season potentially. And for it to get derailed like this, I think that's one of the more unfortunate situations in the league so far, especially when the Grizzlies were playing so well. Especially they had some transgressions there with Steven Adams being out with his injury. But they need Ja Morant on the court. And I think Ja Morant needs to be on the court. And I hope Ja Morant can just get back to being on the court, like not having all this outside stuff. It's okay to party. It's okay to turn up. It's okay to have a good time. But when you get in those situations where all that stuff can be lost, all that stuff can be taken away, it's just not good for him. And I think that he has to find a way to basically put that behind him and get back on the basketball court. That's basically it. And Ja Morant's one of my favorite players in the league. Just want to see him be a good basketball player. Don't want to hear about all the off the court stuff of potential violence. And I think that was the main thing that the NBA tried to address, that they try to have the Grizzlies suspend him and try to get that put behind them. It's just like, the possibility that something could have happened. Not just to you, but innocent people in the strip club, in those places that you are. Innocent people can be hurt. A gun magnifies that. No gun lessens that. And I think that's something that the NBA basically was like, you got to kind of step back. And hopefully he does. Heading down the last couple of weeks of the NBA season here. Of course, I'm going to be touching back on that. Celtics lost tonight, which was a bad loss, of course. I believe they're 4-2 now on this road trip. They have the 3-2 on this road trip right now. They have the Kings on Tuesday night, I believe a TNT game that's going to be coming up. As well as check out the other videos I have there. I've been uploading shorts, and I feel like that's keeping people, while I was away a little bit, entertained a little bit. I also have ring takes. I have another episode coming up soon with Brian Lewis, where we talk about the road to WrestleMania coming up, of course. Check out those videos, of course. Listen, all that stuff. That will do it for episode 35 on the Basketball Soapbox. With the NBA season winding down, we're going to be talking more basketball, amongst other things. And thank you for joining and listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And that will do it for this one. Thank you for joining me.